So it's 2024. You've got your rower, but what do? I'm Austin with Training Tall, and while I might be 6'8", Training Tall is all about helping you take your fitness and health above the average no matter how tall you are. And today we're going to be talking about what to do with your new rower. Even though I'm sitting here on a Concept 2 row erg, we're going to be talking about what you should do with your rower, whether you bought an Amazon budget rower, a Concept 2 row erg, or even one of the higher end rowers like an Averon, a Hydro, or an Ergata. We're going to discuss all of those today in the video, and it all starts with first making sure you know how to row. So we're just gonna give a basic breakdown of how to row. I've done lots of technique videos so far, but if you've got your rower and you're sitting by it, you should sit on it right now because I'm gonna be talking about stuff. First up is your setup. You gotta make sure that you're set up properly, and there's two main things for that. The first thing is adjusting your foot plates. Make sure your foot plates are sat as low as possible. If you're on an Amazon budget rower, you're not gonna be able to really adjust the foot plates on those. Most of them don't have adjusting foot plates, but if they do, you want them to sit as low as comfortably possible. That's the key thing. You still wanna be comfortable in your foot plates. You don't want to feel like your feet are gonna fall out of the straps, but the lower your feet can sit, and for me, I just try to aim the strap to go right below the big toe, the lower our feet can sit, the lower it brings our knees. And when our knees are low, it makes it easy to have good rowing form and lean forward at the front of the rowing stroke. If your feet are sat really high in the foot plates, I'll just show you on one. If the foot is high, the knee is high, and this makes it hard to lean forward. So before you start your rowing journey for the new year, make sure you adjust your foot plates as low as comfortably possible. Now that's the first adjustment. The second adjustment is to make sure that you adjust how you sit. Because as humans, we want to sit on our comfy butt cheeks, where it's comfortable. But ideally, if we do this, it's going to round our lower back, which is not ideal. So to sit ideally, we actually want to think about sitting on the hamstrings. So it's this idea of untucking your butt, untucking your hips, sitting more on like your crotch, your junk, or more appropriately, sitting more on the hamstrings. When you do this, this untucks your lower back and keeps your back, your spine, in a more neutral position as we come to the front of the stroke, compared to if you were sitting on your butt on the comfy part, where you might end up like this. Most people get hurt from the rower and have a back strain because of how they're sitting. So when you adjust the foot plates low and you sit forward on your sit bones, you are set up, you are ready. Quick form breakdown here. With your handle, no matter what rowing handle you got on your machine, grip it as wide as you can. As wide as you can with thumbs underneath. This simulates as if you were hanging from a barbell if you were doing something like a deadlift. We don't want to have our thumbs on top of the handle because that's going to be an unstable grip, but it's also going to overactivate our forearm muscles, which we do not want to be the primary mover of our rowing stroke. When we hold the handle, we just want to hang from the handle to allow our legs, our back, our hips, and then our arms to do the work, but we're just holding to hang. So the handle should be sort of not all the way in your fingertips, but sort of at the base of where your fingers and palms start. With a relaxed grip there, not a death grip, you're all set, as long as you're nice and wide. Now, when it comes to the rowing stroke, we want to start by first thinking about the front end position here. So with the front end position, we want our shoulders in front of our hips. Big mistake is being vertical with our body here, or trying to think tall, proud chest. While this looks fancy and looks like it would be in like an exercise science book, this is not an ideal position for the rowing stroke. Ideally, we have our torso leaned forward, if you think of the face of a clock, forward at 11 or 1 o'clock, depending on which way you're facing. Shoulders are in front, and we allow our shoulder blades to round forward. So we're not holding our shoulder blades back and down like this. We're allowing the upper back to reach. The thoracic spine should round and reach forward. Now with that, our legs, a good starting point is to keep your heels planted and just bend your legs to 90 degrees. If you can, you want to get to the point where your knees can go over your ankles with your leg compression like this to get a shins vertical position. However, doing this and keeping your lean forward is hard for a lot of people. If you've got a big midsection, like a lot going on here, if you start bending your legs more, you can't quite lean forward. So if you think heels planted, that gets you a lot of leg bend still, but allows you to keep your body forward, which is what we want to prioritize. Now with our arms straight, our body forward, the sequence for our rowing stroke is a leg push, a body swing, an arm pull. So instead of thinking Legs, body, arms, or legs, core, arms, which you'll hear from a lot of people who teach rowing. I like to think of it as push, swing, pull. The legs push first, the body swings back second. We swing back to shoulders behind the hips at a complementary 11 or 1 o'clock, and the arms pull in. When we pull in the handle, we pull in right below the chest. So ideally here, right below the bra strap or at the bottom of the sternum, our elbows are out and back. So they're not back like a T-Rex, and they're not out high like this where we start shrugging, just an in-between out and back. And that should lead to pretty flat wrists as well. Now we should be bracing our abs pretty tight here to support ourselves in this lay-back position because we don't want to slouch down. We don't want our shoulders and chest to round forward. Like we did at the front, we actually want it to be the opposite. So our chest should be proud, our shoulders should be down and back, and this is our good finish position. Now we've got the return, which is the opposite. The arms are going to come out first, then the body leans, and then we bend the legs. But we don't want to do it like a robot. A robot would go arms, body, legs, but we're going to do it like a human and keep our arms and shoulders relaxed. So the handle does not actually travel straight out. Instead, you relax your arms down and out. Notice the difference. That's straight out, which we want to avoid because it gets tension in the shoulders. Instead, relax down and out. Now, as your arms finish extending, the handle is low to the thighs. We start to lean our body, and then as soon as the handle passes the knees, we start to bend the knees. As the body finishes its lean forward, we bend our legs to the front, and we're right back here. Leg push, body swing, arm pull, relax arms over, start to lean, pass the knees, bend, finish the lean, compress, boom. And that is the rowing stroke. If you want more details on that, I've done tons of videos for it, so just look up rowing machine technique, training tall, you'll find it. Okay, so now that we've talked about rowing technique, it's time to dive deep into each rowing machine. So what did you buy? Did you buy one of the $300 to $500 Amazon rowers? Like one of these? If you did, the problem with these machines is that they don't have very reliable monitors on them. Sure, they do have digital monitors that technically, I guess, show you your distance, your strokes per minute, the interval time. But outside of that, it doesn't have any reliable metrics for your pace per 500 meters or the watts that you generate. It can throw out some numbers, but they're generally pretty arbitrary and they don't tend to line up with the other higher end rowing machines and what your output actually might be. So when it comes to getting started on a budget rower, it's kind of unreliable to jump right into a written program that has you going for targeted intensities because it's going to be hard to get that off of your monitor. So if you've got a budget rower, the best way to use it, the best way to get started is to use it in sort of a circuit fashion with other exercises that you can do for a workout. An example of this could be rowing at a hard intensity for 1 minute, followed by a 30-second break before 1 minute of push-ups. Then another 30-second break before back on the rower for another hard, intense minute, going off of feeling rather than whatever the arbitrary numbers the monitor is telling you, before hopping off again, another 30-second rest before getting into a set of bodyweight squats or bodyweight deadlifts. And then simply hopping back between the bodyweight exercise and the rowing interval back and forth. That's a really good way to get the most out of your budget rower. Outside of that, you can do some follow-along workouts, but again, it's hard to tangibly measure your progress on these budget rowers. That is why I've been pretty harsh on them over the years as far as rowing machine reviews on the channel. Look, I know everybody's trying to save money when it comes to buying fitness equipment, but when you buy a budget rower, you tend to get something that's pretty unreliable in the long term. But all hope is not lost there. Again, try to find a circuit-style workout that incorporates cardio minutes with other exercises as well. That's how you're gonna get the most out of your rower there. And of course, review some technique to make sure you're rowing correctly. By the way, if you do have a budget rower and you've been using it for a while and you have other ways that you use your rower, let me know and let everyone else know down below. Share some ideas so that way we can get the most out of our experience no matter what rower we have. Okay, so if you have a Concept 2 rower, the Concept 2 Row Erg, congrats, you just got the actual best budget rower because these things last a lifetime. These things last forever as far as the actual price tag of around $1,000. If they're gonna last you forever, it's one of the most affordable pieces of gym equipment. They're sturdy, they're reliable, they're what the rowing world across the entire world uses as the gold standard for rowing workouts. And the main reason behind that is the sophistication of the PM5 monitor that all the Concept 2s come with. This monitor is ridiculously awesome at tracking every metric you would want to track for a rowing workout. There's a lot that's going on with the monitor. I have also done a deep dive into this monitor itself. You can check out that video. I'll have it linked down in the description below if you want a nice deep dive into all of its functions and if it's confusing to you. But what's great about using this monitor is you can use this for either any sort of written program, which I also offer on my site, by the way. It's a 12-week program to get you started if you're brand new to rowing, or any other sort of written or follow-along program. There's lots and lots of follow-along rowing workout videos. I've got them. Other channels have them as well. I also have hundreds upon hundreds of these workouts built out into programs on my rowing app, Just Row. You can check that out down below if you're interested too. But hopping into a program is what I would recommend if you have a Concept 2 rower, because all the numbers, all the metrics, they are there to help you tangibly progress yourself over the course of your rowing journey, which is exactly what you need to be successful long term. Because when it comes to fitness, we bought a rower to get fitter, right? When we get fit, we can't just get fit and then stop. We're thinking longevity, we're thinking long term. And the Concept 2 rower is one of the best machines to think rowing long term using its monitor. So hop into some follow along workouts or onto a written program. You're not gonna regret it. But if none of those interest you, Concept 2 actually has lots of challenges that they put up on their website that go all the way throughout the year. And the Concept 2 community is very well connected as well. So check out Concept 2's website, check out what rowing challenges are going on, join the community. It's another great way to get started as well. Now, also in line with Concept 2, kinda, but not really, are the classic water rowers that are out there. These rowers, of course, offer a more quieter water rowing experience. Personally, I do like the feel of Concept 2 rowers as far as simulating the feel of rowing on a boat on a water. I was a rower in college for all 4 years. I spent lots of time on the water and off the rower, and while the Concept 2 still does feel like a more authentic rowing experience, you're still gonna get a good, authentic, for the most part, rowing experience on a water rower. The only thing is that the monitors on there, while they also offer a wide variety of metrics to follow as far as your pace per 500, watts, calories burned, distance, time, etc. It's just less sophisticated than the Concept 2 monitor. There is less you can do with it. You can't program in intervals as smoothly or as easily on a water rower monitor as you can on a Concept 2. But you still can, in which case I would still recommend if you have a water rower that you just set up and you're ready to use, again, try a follow-along rowing workout or a follow-along program. That's gonna be your best bet getting started. Okay, so now let's talk high-end models. The ones that are a little bit pricier usually come tied with a subscription. Let's go through the big three out there right now: the Averon, the Ergata, and the Hydro. If you've got an Averon, there is a ton to choose from. The most variety of games, programs, and things to do on the machine out of all of the rowers out there. When it comes to just getting started, you can actually find my follow-along workouts that are in my app, Just Row, on the Averon itself. So you have full free access to that if you are an Averon user, and I've got a lot of great beginner programs where I coach you as you row along with me throughout the course of multiple weeks to help you build up your rowing skills, your cardio, your strength, and your power. So that way you're equipped with all the knowledge and the ability to explore all the other things that the platform has to offer. Keep in mind, again, this video is about the first thing you should do with your new rower, and getting in those skills early, learning how to do things correctly, and being coached by someone who knows what they're doing is gonna help you prevent yourself from building bad habits that you'll have to break later on in your journey anyway. Personally, I would recommend my Row 20 follow-along program, which is a 20-day rowing program for 20 days in a row that give you all the skills, techniques that you need to be the best rowing you possible. By the way, it's free here on YouTube as well. Make sure you check it out. Just search Row 20 program. But let's say you got a Hydro. Well, you can't really go wrong with the Hydro as far as where to start, because it is just thousands upon thousands of follow-along workouts. And one thing that's great about Hydro that I've always admired and appreciated is that the instructors know what the heck they're talking about. I mean, they're on the water rowing. If you're on the water rowing and your boat's not flipping, you know what you're doing, and you can trust that all the Hydro instructors know what they're talking about and are gonna coach you and guide you through whatever kind of workout you like. They've got a nice selection of different types of workouts, ranging from lower intensity to high intensity workouts. Play around with the different formats, try out the different instructors, and find the ones that you like, and then just stick with it for at least 3 to 4 times a week. This goes for everyone on all rowers. You should be trying to row at least 3 times a week if you're trying to build up your rowing consistently over time. Keep in mind too with the hydro workouts that they have on the rower and off the rower workouts as well, so you can create a pretty balanced plan for a whole week of training. But let's say you got an ergata. If you got an ergata, you got what I would argue to be one of the most competitive platforms with rowing as far as head-to-head competition and encouraging you to compete against yourself and others. Now, while the competition modes are one of the highlight features of the ergata, in my opinion, I would highly recommend when you first start off with one of the push programs first. The push programs are step-by-step workouts that over time progress you to more and more intensity that help you build up your rowing fitness, your rowing cardio, especially if you're brand new to fitness in general and you don't want to absolutely destroy yourself on your first workout. The push programs do a really good job of building you up over time. So hop into one of those first before you hop into the competition modes and the other game modes as well. So the moral of the story with you and your new rower is you want to make sure that you are learning how to row properly first and you get yourself a plan. Most people fail with their new rower at the start of each year because they just hop on it for a little bit, 10, 20 minutes. Rowing is not the most exciting exercise in the whole wide world. It's a pretty repetitive motion back and forth. So finding a program that's engaging for you, that keeps you motivated to come back for more, finding the instructors that you like or the intensity levels that you like, all of this comes into play with you getting the most out of your rowing experience. But it all starts with you taking the first step to sit down, to learn how to row, and to do that first workout. Thank you so much for checking out the video, and I wish you the best of luck in your rowing journey for the new year. Don't forget that I offer tons of rowing resources on my website, including written training plans, rowing form reviews, where we can work one-on-one on your rowing form, and of course my app, Just Row, with hundreds of follow-along rowing workouts, all structured for all sorts of fitness levels, no matter what your rowing machine might be. So be sure to check those out if you're interested, and if you've got questions for me, leave them down below and I will answer them. But thanks so much for watching. Happy rowing to you, and I will see you in the next video.